In front, it never got on goal, and now it is rifled back in by Michael Stone. Puck comes in front, and a little backhander, they score! That was tipped, and it goes over the right.
An unlikely hero in Paul Bissonnette.
Pause there. This guy, Paul Bissonnette, might just be one of the most mocked players in NHL history because of his limited offensive impact back in his day. And honestly, that is where we need to pump the brakes. Because as fans, it can be really easy to forget. Although they may not be the star of their team, are still in the 0.001% of that sport. Like, let's just think about that for a second. Throughout the history of the sport of hockey, millions, and I mean millions, have attempted to make the NHL. However, only the select few will actually step a foot on that ice. In fact, the NHL back in 2017 highlighted that there has been 7,600 players to play in the NHL since the inception of the league. So just think about that, 7,600 out of tens of millions of attempts. And to circle back here, I just need to emphasize that you have to be an amazing talent even to be the worst player on an NHL team. Not to mention that Biz had not one, but 7 goals.
But Connor Murphy will get it to the front, they score!
Emotions right now. I just want to thank Tony Silva for training me when I'm out of the lineup, my personal trainer. No, but it's pretty cool. I got to fly my dad out to more games, I guess.
Which is why I was speechless when Nick Schmaltz, well, he did this.
Rebounding, scored! It's Nick Schmaltz! Here's a steal, a shot, and a goal! And guess who? The red hot Nick Schmaltz! 6 points now for Nick Schmaltz, too.
3 assists and now
As my man went from breaking that, 40-50 point mark this season to being on pace for 82 points, as he would mark his name in the record book after his insane 7-point performance. And during this game, I saw a list of names, and again, I was speechless. Because from the top active NHL players to score the most points in a single game, here is the list. Sam freaking Gagner at number 1 with 8 points. Nick Schmaltz at number 2. Eric Stahl, Mitch Marner, Lars Eller. Okay, so probably not the top 5 you would think of, but who's number 6? Jeff friggin' Skinner. Where's McDavid? Where is Ovi? Where is Crosby? 3 of the best players in NHL history. Absent. How do you belong here? As someone like Nick Schmaltz is on a list that not even Connor McDavid is on. Which is honestly the point of this video, as I find it fascinating when NHL players seemingly explode overnight. Which brings us to Nazem the Dream Kadri.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Because even on a team riddled with injury to their main stars and supporting cast, Kadri, and get this, went from averaging 40 points to 30 points in Colorado to being on pace this season for 102 points. And let's not forget, Kadri went from a player traded for Tyson freaking Barrie to being the best value contract in the entire NHL. Because did I mention he only makes $4.5 million? As Nazem Kadri's rise to stardom this year has been fascinating, to say the least. And honestly, this happens every so often. A player who goes under the radar and then quote unquote randomly explodes one season. And the question is this even sustainable? How could a team put all their eggs in a basket of a breakout player? Because one thing I didn't mention is Kadri is in the final year of his contract. Yeah, right? Pretty good timing. A year where he went from 30 points to being on pace for 102. Which begs the question, is he valued at, a 100-point player? Is he a 70-point player? So many questions and not enough cap space to answer them. However, what we can do is look at previous breakout stars. Victor Arvidsson, because after getting his full-time roster spot back in 2017, I'm not even sure, but somehow most of the league didn't even realize my man was an elite goal scorer. 31 goals in his second season, 29 the next. In 2019, Arvidsson would erupt with 34 goals in 58 games, meaning he was just shy of a 50-goal pace. I mean, Ovechkin won it that year with 51. As Victor Arvidsson is one of the most under-the-radar breakout stars of this era. However, right after that, my guy went from a 50-goal pace to 15 to 10 goals to 18 goals this season. So could you imagine if he was paid as a 50-goal scorer, even with a 3-year straight track record? That would have been an absolute disaster. However, on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have Leon Draisaitl. Because after being drafted 3rd overall in 2014, Draisaitl would have a disastrous start to his NHL career. As he was placed in a bottom 6th if not 4th line role, he was denied playing in the World Juniors, even though he was literally Germany's only hope. On a side note, why am I an Oilers fan? Edmonton is so brutal, and this slow start combined with Edmonton's just, long history of failure made even Edmonton's own fan base deny the incredible talent that is the Cologne man himself. The next season, Connor McDavid would join the team, and Draisaitl would have a quote-unquote underwhelming 52 points. And finally, in year 3, Draisaitl playing alongside of McDavid would break out, putting up 77 points. However, even though you think this would be great news, many, and I've been reading these comments for years, were roasting Leon Draisaitl because apparently he just didn't belong. His production was unsustainable, and he was supposedly nothing without Connor McDavid. Fans were so livid. They thought Leon Draisaitl and his $9 million contract was one of the biggest overpayments in history. My God, were they wrong. Even though there are still people who think McDavid is the only reason he's here. Draisaitl today is a monster and a top 3 player in the NHL. So I guess, to a player like Nazem Kadri, who quote-unquote doesn't belong in the 100-point club, will he sustain it? Or will it be yet another free agency failure?